All right, we're going to figure out what kind of train wreck this is going to be.
Holy crap. 2 weeks in a row.
Holy crap.
Hey. All right, that's fucking enough of that. Shit is going to haunt me forever. Anyways, this is the Warhammered Podcast. I'm Jazz, that's Oz.
Hello.
And that's Caitlin.
What's up?
And we're back to do it again. Today we have a new subject and a new drink.
We're at it again.
Because here on the Warhammered Podcast, we do two things. We drink and we don't know things. So we are going to have a drink, and then we are going to discuss a Warhammer subject while we get hammered.
It technically is a Warhammered subject today.
It's true. It is actually a Warhammered subject, because that's what we do here. We do nerd lore and nerd things at a...
Wave top level.
It just happens to be a lot of Warhammer stuff. And this week, it actually is Warhammer stuff.
Hey.
Because we are going to discuss something very important to Ozzy.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Well, he does.
Jeez.
But he's, in all fairness, he's a bit of a germ chaser. So what are we...
Ridiculous.
Ozzy, what are we talking about today?
Oh, we're talking about the holy great devourer, the Tyranids.
The Buggy Boys. There are a lot of them bitches.
There's quite a few. At least three.
There's fucking three.
Yeah.
3 whole books.
At least.
Three at a minimum.
Yeah.
At a minimum is $3.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like ants. If you see one, it's like, If you see two, it's like, And then if you see three, they're
Then you have to fumigate your car.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Oz will remember this.
the betrayal. The sweet betrayal. So anyways, we decided we're doing bugs. Caitlin went full Rain Man on the internet and found a drink.
I did.
Now,
all this stuff.
There's
really
a
good at
reason.
this.
There's a reason you picked a particular booze,
Yes.
and that has to do with
It's green.
nailed it.
Perfect.
When
just
she
kidding.
was explaining this
Honestly,
off camera,
outstanding.
No, I will
She-
explain it.
she picked absinthe because of the hive mind. So,
The hive mind.
so anyways,
Makes sense.
So we got absinthe, and we got Hildy 58, and we have dry curacao, which we just learned is a thing today. We didn't know that dry curacao was a thing. But this drink is called Space Trader.
Trader.
Why I chose absinthe is because when you actually drink it in a community as a communal hive mind, you do it as like you drip sugar over like a sugar cube, and then it goes into the fountain and then pours out into your cup kind of thing. So there's also a lot of old stories and stuff about absinthe taking over your mind, doing like mind control kind of stuff. So I thought absinthe would be kind of fun. I've personally never had absinthe. I kind of know what it tastes like.
have you
but
never
I've
had
never
absinthe?
It. No.
This is your
My
first
time.
absinthe experience, huh?
Brother,
Okay.
we're about to get
And I
there.
lived in France. So.
It does not take much. It is a very effective alcohol.
It's like a triple ABV essentially.
It's 110 proof. So just so everybody's aware of what we're getting into. So that is 110 proof. The two other pieces that are going in are also booze. One of which is 70 proof.
Nice.
So 35% alcohol. And I think the other one is 80 proof.
40%
It's literally
alcohol.
40% alcohol.
Yeah.
So everything that is going into this is going to get your fucking attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It literally says absinthe is 110 proof, so please drink with extreme caution on the back.
So
Drink
if
with
you're to
extreme
give you an idea, if
caution.
you're drinking just absinthe, just regular and what she was talking about with dripping it over sugar and stuff like that. So you can have a thing called an absinthe fountain.
Yes.
That fountain you fill with ice water, and then you're supposed to put like half a shot of absinthe in the bottom of a cup, and then you turn the fountain on, and it drips ice water over sugar cubes.
Yeah.
And slowly melts the sugar cube onto the absinthe until you end up with, I think it's a 3-to-1 dilution.
Yeah.
So you essentially put in, so if it's a half an ounce of absinthe, you're putting 1.5 ounces of water on top of it. So you're supposed to cut it by like 75%.
I know you haven't had it. Have you had it like that before?
Straight absinthe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that. Oh,
yeah,
I
like
love it.
traditional,
It's actually really
like
good.
traditional
I
ice
enjoy
drip
it.
absinthe. Now, regular absinthe, like if you taste it straight, is awful. It is so bad. It is never meant to drink straight, unless you just like chewing on fucking beets. It is.
You just pick them right out the ground.
It's bad, dude. It's rough.
Just go out in the yard and pick a beet real quick.
So, do you know any history behind this space trade drink? I read a little bit of it.
No, but you can go.
Oh, so this drink was apparently made in New Orleans, which, if you were gonna find a bug,
That's yeah.
it's gonna be from fucking New Orleans. So
No, I just have that image of like the damn. I forgot what movie it is. It's like the chest burster and the fucking top hat.
little
the
top
fucking
hat, just
cape.
like, hello, my baby,
Yeah,
hello, my darling,
exactly.
hello, my ragtime gal. And it just fucking zooms off the screen. Yeah. I also like the idea that some hive tyrant just pops out and is like, "Oh, I'm about to make my name for myself." Yeah.
You got the absent here.
it just fucking come on, Space Marine.
About to give me some bug gumbo and take this absinthe.
Let me show you how to do a Space Marine boil.
We got bug shrimp, bug gumbo,
Gumbo.
got ripper.
So, anyways, I guess I'll. Jesus Christ, I'm not gonna lie. I will drink just about anything. This one makes me nervous. This
And it
is
goes in a fancy glass. We actually got the fancy glass to go with it this time. These are called coupes. Coupe glass.
I don't feel good about this drink.
What is this?
A challenge.
No, it's a cup. What is this? A cemetery.
It's
A graveyard.
All right, so this is going to take me a minute to make 3 of these, so we might as well just go ahead and get into this. What are some of the base things we need to know about les bugs?
Base things about bugs. So
Space herpes.
they knew about them a while back. They kind of like just popped up. I think bugs in general have been around for a long time. Hive mind, fucking, all kind of have their own hive fleets. Just in general, that have the same kind of thought process. They think it's from a Norn queen.
In 30K, they called them mega arachnids, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
mega arachnids, or as Jazz is informed me, the crows. The crows. The crows. And I like your comparison too, where it's like if they just appeared on the planet and were like, "Oh look, we have spiders at home, and then there's spiders here."
Yeah, like from what I understand in 30K, like, and it's actually not super 30K. It was actually a little bit after that. It's like M33 is when you really start hearing stories about the mega arachnid.
Yeah.
And they called them chromes, and they didn't really view them as they were a xenos in as much that they were a life form not from Earth.
Yeah.
But they were literally like technically bugs aren't human either, but they're not xenos. They're just a creature. And that was kind of the thought process is like, oh, this isn't an alien. It just turns out that
They got big old bugs.
they just got big old bugs here.
Yeah. And that bug looked at it and said,
So what Jazz is doing, if y'all want to try this drink at home, it's
blew his ass out. I saw
one
it.
part
4K.
absinthe, one part Hildy 58, one part dry Caraco onto ice, stir for 12 seconds, and then put it in a cup.
Which one's this one? The Hildy?
And this is the Hildy
Hildy.
58. Yeah, so this is my favorite part about the recipe that we found for this is that you're supposed to stir it for 12 seconds.
Exactly 12 seconds. No more,
Exactly.
no less.
No more, no less, only 3. 2 is not enough. 4 is too much.
4 is right out.
What is this? A swizzle.
A stick.
A swizzle stick.
So we have bugs. Bugs belong to
Bugland. We actually don't know where they're from, right?
like what do we
yeah.
call a group of bugs?
A hive.
There you go.
A pie?
Hive fleet.
Oh, hive.
Because the first hive fleet that was noted, I think, was Behemoth. And that was when they dubbed them Tyranids for them finding him on a Tyran Prime.
Yeah, the planet.
Yeah. And they said, damn, these bitches are spicy. And they fucked up the planet. And yeah, then
Yeah, they just go around and like eat
yeah.
biomass.
Yeah,
Just
their entire being is just to find the next planet to devour and get more biomass to. This is ASMR.
I don't know, what's your face
glass
look like?
stirring. 12 seconds of glass stirring
think
from
that was 12
Jazz.
seconds.
Oh, he didn't even count.
I know. That was the whole. It's got to be 12.
And it has to be strained.
It's got to be 12. It's green. But yeah, no, Tyranid's like their whole thing is. I think they're one of the more primal kind of things in 40K where they really just
There you go,
they
bug
don't
boy.
say, oh yeah, we have to go kill this dude because he's really cool and he can't be cooler than us. No, they're literally just like, I'm hungry. It's been fucking years since this Hive fleet has found a goddamn planet.
I
need
don't even
some
think
food.
they think though. Well, at
They
least
didn't.
the underlings don't really have
They have basic like, hey,
autonomous thought.
that I'm eating that type.
Yeah, but they don't have like, oh, I'm gonna go out and try to find some food. It's just like, oh no, here's the food. Let's kill it.
Yeah, and it's more organized,
Like
surprisingly.
sharks.
And you'd think that like, oh, they don't really think or strategize, but with the stages of invasion that they have, it's literally like they send in dudes beforehand to say, hey, go check this thing out, see if it's edible, let us know if it is.
Then
You know,
cool. Report back.
Build them a little.
Don't like all the
little
stages
bit.
have names and shit too?
Yeah, there was more technical names in the codex. I can't remember what they are, but it's basically like infiltration. So that's when they send in the like either Broodlord, Lictor, your stealthy boys to go in, check the place out, start setting up kind of the whole ordeal because they want to make it as easy as possible for them to get their food source. They don't want to have to fight too hard for it.
Makes sense.
So they send the good dudes in, and they start spreading around the like gene stealer kind of what am I trying to think of here? Like DNA kind of stuff, and so they start forming the gene stealer cults.
I'm not gonna lie, this is not the most attractive looking drink I've ever made in my life.
This looks glorious.
I think one of my favorite parts about the lore of Tyranids and Space Marines is I heard this story, and it's I guess it's in one of the books about this. I think it's either a Acadian guy or it's a Space Marine, and the bug that can go invisible,
Lictor.
the Lictor, is like fucking with them,
Damn, they're newer.
and he like comes in the middle of the night and like watches them sleep, and then he leaves.
Just imagine.
And then they
that
wake up
whole-
and like something like is wrong in the room, and they're like, "What the fuck?" Have you not heard about this?
No, I haven't heard this story.
I think it's is it Acadian guy or it's a Space Marine?
What guard regiment?
Yeah,
It's in their planet, and like nobody can break in allegedly.
yeah. But this Lictor's done it, and he just like fucks with them while they sleep,
I love it.
and like lets them know like I've been here, but like doesn't ever show himself, and
This
they're like,
elf on a
"Oh my
shelf
god!"
type shit. Like leaves a little evidence trail.
Well, it says like as Titus says, Lictors don't fight in pairs; they fight alone. I'm like, that's a fucking lie. I've
Yeah.
played Space Marine too.
Space Marine 2 determine it. This is a lie.
Do you want one?
Also, how they determined that was a lie in canon animation is that whole Tithes episode with the custodians,
Yeah.
because there was like five
There was
or
like
six
five
of
of them
them
that come
shits.
out.
Yeah.
They
There were
only
leapers,
fight.
but as the fight went on, more lictors came out. So there was the big bitch lictor that came out, and then there was more of them. Like, weird, weird. But yeah, so they send dudes in, prep the planet, and then kind of like say, okay, we're in the area. Go ahead and start fucking shit up so that it's already discourse. And then when the bugs show up, they come down, beat the shit out of whoever's there, and then that's kind of like one of the other phases is like I want to call it fight phase, but it's the technical term they use for it. I can't remember,
Move, shoot,
but
fight, man.
After the charge phase.
yeah, exactly.
Before the battle shock phase.
And so they do that. After that's finished, they start consumption phase.
Conception phase?
Not conception phase.
Well, I mean, somebody's getting fucked.
But okay, another tangent. Here we go. Come to find out, termagants and hormagants can breed within their own beings. They are not solely reliant on the hive fleet to regenerate them. I think some Mechanicum planet figured that out.
That they can fuck.
Yep.
That's not good.
I was like,
I mean, that
they
makes
like
sense.
because they tried to capture them and say, hey, we'll just keep them here and experiment them and then be fine. And then suddenly there was like fucking shitloads of them in their keep.
Okay, boys.
Cheers.
Cheers to the chalice.
Okay.
Said you don't like black licorice? Wow. Because that's all that is.
I just taste straight up like black licorice, but it's not bad. It's like sweetened black licorice.
It's like a sugared good and plenty.
yeah. Interesting.
Sugar good. Yeah, that's just black licorice, dog. That is liquid black licorice. Yeah.
I can feel it on the roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
It like
Yeah. Give another sample.
it's like a wormwood money shot. That shit is a
Trying to separate the flavors here, and all I'd get is licorice.
you can't.
That's a little bit of orange,
Yeah, I can get some
like
orange.
orange rind.
Yeah. That kind of like weird stale-ish kind of
No,
taste.
it's just
from
their
the
rind.
bread.
Just if you like lick the outside of the peel. Orange peel.
I
It's
hear-
orange peeling.
Out here licking oranges.
Jesus, Jazz.
Oh, fucking slurping. This has been black licorice ASMR.
I think this is exactly what you taste when you find out there's Tyranids on your planet. You're just like,
Yeah. Don't like that.
don't like anything about this. And I was like, why does that one have so many tentacles? I don't.
Yeah. Because you know what? That ties it in too. Because the when the Hive Fleet gets close, everybody starts having nightmares and shit because of their whole like wavelength they put out. So all the psychers start losing their shit, and they start sowing even more discourse because
Well, at
nobody
least you
can
know
fucking
that the
think right.
Tyranids are coming if the Psychers are losing their shit.
Yeah, because even in Leviathan, the whole thing started, and they were like, "Hey, yo, I'm having all these dreams of these things coming down. Like, there's a lot of death going on. There's just a bloodbath."
Well, and you see it in Angels of Death, the big animation that
Oh,
they did.
yeah.
That's a really good example
Oh,
of.
yeah.
So the GSC go in first,
Yeah.
and they essentially they completely subdue the planet
Yeah.
to make it easier to consume.
Mm-hmm.
But then the psychers that are in the astropathic choir on the
Yeah.
ships just start like screaming and are
Yeah.
just like, "It comes!"
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like, but they're not saying what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
There's just something
Mhm.
coming.
Yeah, 'cause they put out a big cloud of like,
And
warp
yeah, because they put
energy.
out this weird bubble. Because the Tyranids don't reflect in the warp, and it's because the warp is a realm strictly of emotion.
yeah.
And since the Tyranids don't express emotion, then there's no Tyranid reflection in the warp.
Hence their army rule, Shadow in the Warp.
Yeah, because they're a void. Like they just don't exist. The two armies that don't exist, that don't have a reflection in the warp, are the orcs, because the orcs just don't believe it's a thing.
Well, there's fungus too.
They're also just a fungus, but they are a feeling fungus. They feel ways.
Little mushrooms.
The orcs?
Yeah, they got emotions.
What scrap it will be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're very pro squat.
Oh, scrap.
I can't wait for the fucking orc episode. Orcs are just fun, dude. It, like
They are. I love them.
but like,
Oh, I'm
but yeah,
going
they
forward
actually
to
have an
10
ability in
minutes.
game called Shadows in the Warp because they're just like a void. They're like a
Yeah.
black space in the warp because they don't have an emotional reflection.
Yeah. And the whole thing in the game is it sends out literally, it's meant to be cinematically like a wave that's shot out from one of the lead psychers, and it makes everybody do a battle shock check, meaning what I can only assume is like, okay, it sends out some more shit energy
Psychic
and makes
wave
everybody
energy.
make sure they don't lose their fucking mind against what they're putting out.
Yeah, or yeah, I mean, kind of, or you
That's
feel
how I think of it.
insulted, and you're like, oh, I don't,
Yeah.
I know, I gotta go think about it.
I want my giggle back.
Do I have
I want my giggle back. I love that movie so much.
Deep pulls. No one's gonna know what that's
They're
from.
just gonna be like, what the fuck are you two talking about?
if I catch it feel?
My favorite thing about the Leviathan promo, if no one's ever watched that cinematic masterpiece that is the 3-minute long promo for Leviathan,
It's so good.
is Bobby G's scenes are the best part of that.
You're broody ass Bobby G.
No,
Looking-
because he's sitting there and he's just like so stressed out, pulling his hair out. In the meantime, his brother's like, "Oh, we'll go for my nap. I'm gonna take down some warlords and Girly Man's still alive? Yeah, fuck that guy. I should have killed him on McCrag. I'm not gonna go help him.
Yeah,
like how Girly Man's like, I just wanted to come back and be in charge with my big titted girlfriend. Instead, we got bed bugs.
We got bugs.
hella big
And
bugs.
and High Fleet Leviathan is such a big deal in 40K is because the front and back of it completely extends the length
Yeah.
of the galaxy backwards and forwards, right? Like
yeah, 'cause it wraps.
it's wrapping
it's
like
basically
horizontally
pincering
around
the
the Milky Way.
area. Yeah, the Milky Way.
Yeah.
and around Terra. And I think that was. So I read up more, and I think that's been handled quote unquote.
How does
I
that
think it's
mean?
been postponed, stymied.
Subdued?
Well, there's like a holding position now.
Yeah.
And the idea is to, we saw it in one of the cartoons where they're going through and they are strategically exterminating planets.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what they're doing is they're literally shutting the biomass
Yeah,
off and
in
just going
tides,
like, there's
yeah.
nothing here to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're essentially making like a dead
Burn.
space
Yeah.
to where the concept is,
Yeah.
well, if there ain't no roadside snacks, then they'll just stop
Yeah.
traveling.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe it'll kind of
Yeah.
bleed off. This would be like doing a road trip in Texas, but you're not allowed to stop at Buc-ee's.
It's impossible.
Brother, there's a Buc-ee's at every stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't do it.
Oh, yeah, that'd be hard.
The beaver nuggets are
So yeah,
calling
they essentially no more nuggies.
That's just pop cereal. It's
just giant corn pops.
corn pop cereal is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the concept here. Is like they're like,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we make a dead space of
Hopefully they'll run into it and be like, eh.
yeah, then they'll
Just
go
keep
like,
going.
oh, we don't go this way. There's no more biomass, and then
But it is rowdy
re-steer.
that they have to resort to that because of how
of literally
dangerous the hive
extracting their own planets and then
Mhm.
obliterating out.
fleet is. Yep.
And they're like, this is the only thing we can do.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of refugees.
Or
It's corpse starch.
I mean, that too.
They're getting biomass. It just depends on who they get
Some-
biomass.
yeah.
Some of them are gonna be eggs filled somewhere else.
Yeah. Oh, this drink is spicy.
I'm getting like heartburn,
It's
acid reflux. Shit,
Tums.
fucking. Oh,
my throat
Yeah, that shit is a little spicy.
is good. Is it just
I
only
like it.
regurgitating for me? Because like my throat's like
it's so thick.
I feel like I
Like,
just
it
need to
just-
scrape my tongue. No, I don't recommend this.
This shit is a cocktail with 3 C's. Like it's just. Like,
Our first Patreon member, you're gonna get these ingredients so you can keep making this drink.
exactly.
I don't want these in my house.
like it.
Is this what it's like when the Tyranids like this liquid?
This liquid
the Tyranids
is
suck up through the big tubes
It's
going up to
this.
space. That's it.
It's this. This is why they're so mad. They're
Yeah.
like, why is it all got to taste like this? Like this is.
black
this is
liquor.
bullshit.
It's bullshit.
I eat all this shit. I
I'm
go
not gonna lie.
jump in a pool
I don't think I'm
and fucking-
revisiting this one.
I don't think I would
We
either. Oh, we-
Caitlin and I have had several
All
of
week.
the lemon lime Gatorade cocktails that we made
Yeah.
last week.
Oh,
We've had
yeah, they're
several of
so
those
good.
since that one.
Multiples.
Yeah.
That one was good.
Yeah, that was very
That
good.
shit. That shit
I
tasted
don't know
like
if I'm going back to this one.
tasted like flat squirt. Like it's so fucking good, dude. This one though, I'm like, I'm gonna get through it. You can see it sticking to the glass.
Yeah.
Like if you
It's
look
got
in there, it
fingers
is
like a wine does. If you
it's
move it to one
thicker.
side, you can see the
It's
the
thicker
fingers
legs
come
than
down
wine.
on
It's
it.
not even dripping.
shit
It's just
is,
staying.
You can see the sugar
fucking-
coating if you move your glass.
Yeah.
you can
that
see
is
the sugar
cocktail by Aunt Jemima. That shit is thick.
Yes, sir.
That is fuck, dude.
Anyway, Oz, what's your
Fuck.
favorite? Now that we kind of like got some of the lore out,
Like you ever tried to swallow an enchilada you didn't chew enough? Like it's
I don't know if that's an accurate comparison.
I mean,
like it's in my mouth and like everywhere all at the same time. Like it's just
would you say it's everything, everywhere, all at once?
no, it's not everything. It's just like I don't
Just like that.
To a bagel.
like this drink makes me feel like I got a huck a loogie. Like it's my throat's so sticky.
All I imagine is just like, do you watch Moana? Fucking
Yeah.
hey trying to eat the rock
Yeah.
against the rock.
Like you ever wait for your dog to fall asleep and then you put a little bit of peanut butter inside his gums, like on the outside, and you just watch him just. It's like that. Like I'm. Like I don't. I think the rest of the night I'm gonna be working trying to.
These Tyranids leaving a bad.
Like I
taste
feel
in
like
my
I should be
mouth.
chewing something, but I'm not. Like it's.
There you go.
Does it help? I don't think it's gonna
emergency
help.
I
water.
don't know. It's just
That's because this is
You want
brought
some
to you
water?
by the Black Templars, printed right there on the fucking
Black
bottle.
Templar Absente.
That doesn't help. That doesn't help. I just have wet sticky now. That's
My lips feel very smooth though.
it's
The coating on the lips is
It's got a glycerin quality to it. That's
lip balm there.
Yeah.
nitroglycerin. It's worse than a
like
cough
I
drop.
feel like this tastes like the coating that's on the outside of a bug. Like it's
oily. It's oily.
Yeah.
It's oily.
If you imagine like those little black beetles we get here, Or not
Roly
little, but like the
polies?
black beetles.
Like-
No, you know
Like,
the
you ever held an earthworm?
yeah.
Like the mouthfeel is like the outside of an earthworm.
We're delving deep in these comparisons, boys.
That's at the outside of maybe
This
a
was
stingray.
appropriate because I'm sorry. The look they look cool. Their army's gross. It's
Yeah.
a gross
Thank
army.
you. Thank
It's a
you.
disgusting army.
I'm really good at this
no
So
pairing thing.
this was this represents but this drink tastes the way I feel about Tyranids. Like
I
it's-
mean, I can't fault you. There are bugs in various sizes carrying other bugs that shoot bugs into other dudes because they want to eat.
yeah, like it's weird.
It's
like
bugs on bugs on bugs.
and it's also like a lot of their complication. Like actually a lot like these boozes. I'm looking at these going like, why'd you do this? Like I don't get it. Like the description of this booze sounds
bug.
like a bug. Like it's spiced, sweet, and bitter.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's like yeah, no, that's
Yeah, that one's dry.
that's just this one's just dry, just it's just dry, just
This has become.
I have regrets.
Do you think the Space Marines eat little Tyranids? Like, do you think they're like? I'm curious what that Ripper swarm
Like a
tastes
Ripper?
like. You wanna take it back and barbecue it real quick?
You know, it wouldn't surprise me.
Like, do you think that a Space Marine has done that at some point?
Heresy, brother.
I mean, what we eat scorpions and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
Probably some guardsman over there, like, hold on, wait a minute.
Do I want corpse starch?
I'm gonna change it up a little bit. We got the fire going.
It's got claws. If we steam it,
crab claws.
I did find an artist on Twitter,
just
one
Tyranid claws
time
and drawn butter.
that fucking drew like different 40K like things, creatures as like food items, and a Ripper was on there. It was like
Nice.
all like lobstered out and like buttered, whatever. I was like,
Nice.
So okay. Anyways, I'm sorry I distracted it with this.
Sorry,
no, that's okay.
I'm trying to keep the conversation going.
I know this drink is just.
Well, good thing is you don't have to finish it. So.
Yeah, it's bad.
All right, that'll be $86 Oz.
I know, right? It's fucking.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
This is yours now.
No, it's gonna go in the bar. There's got to be better cocktails I can make
Yeah.
with this. I
No,
think we
they
just took 3 fucking.
Yeah, because
Of
some of
the
the ones
worst
that I
things
referenced, like
possible?
it's funny that we had the same idea because I was like, oh, absinthe would make sense because
Yeah.
bug
Yeah, it makes
things.
sense. And then also like absence from France. There's that story of that guy that had insatiable
France loves bugs.
hunger tartar. He was like a sideshow guy, and he ate everything, and he also ate like a child and a dog, and like you ever hear that story of tartar?
No,
No.
Oh, so he had
a modest proposal. OG
he
story.
suffered from something that gave him insatiable hunger, and no matter what he could eat, he was always still hungry. So he joined the circus and would eat like weird shit, like 2x4s, butter, like not butter, but
Butter.
butter,
2x4s and butter.
just bricks, weird shit. And the doctors couldn't figure out
Bricks of butter.
yeah. Bring that
the
shit in
doctors
wheel.
couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. Eventually, he went to prison because he ate like a child and a dog and a baby and shit like that. And like he like swallowed the baby whole essentially.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, his like jaw
This is
like double unlocked and
heresy,
stuff. It was
brother.
weird. Anyway,
The demons.
that's Tyranid. That's
But it
France.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
They do eat everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And
with a
What?
straw.
with a straw.
With a straw. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, like, kind of the life cycle here is right. Is that like they send like the forerunners.
Yeah.
They show up and go like, "Yep,
There's battle.
this one's edible."
Yeah.
And then they like spray their seed at it.
Yeah. Spray
And
the
then, like-
cloud of, mice.
So then,
or
like, they
whatever,
kinda
and
seed it.
Spores.
And then like
Yeah.
2 hours later, that egg is like a full blown hormigone.
Yeah.
and the plant's dead.
And then like 12 hours later, you have fucking hive lords and shit walking out. Like
oh, I think we looked
it's-
this up one time.
it's rapid evolution.
It
Yeah.
is.
And they'll adapt like almost instantaneously
fly.
to what's going on.
Yeah, and that's what happened in Space Marine 2, if you remember, because in the first mission,
They
they
just need to
literally the
burn
whole
that
thing
planet.
is like, hey, we're gonna send a virus into the Hive Fleet. It's gonna slow them down,
But they're
for
going
a-
to change.
a day,
Yep.
and so that it'll kill a bunch of dudes. They're like, hey, dang, that was kind of crazy. Anyways, some other dudes down, and we'll be fine. And then, but yeah, they send them down there, eat what they can, kill off any spicy biomass that
Yeah.
might be fighting back against them. And then, funny enough, the bugs that eat the biomass to transfer in are literally just that. They're just transportation like modules. If you look at hormigons and termagants and stuff like that go in and like the harvester bugs, they just eat a bunch of shit and go jump in a pool and disintegrate.
Yeah, because isn't it if like once they throw down the toxins, anything that's living on the planet essentially goes insane and they eventually die anyway.
Yeah.
But I think it was like from finding a planet to like when it's completely desolated and there's nothing left. I think it was 100 days that Tyranids destroyed.
Yeah, it's like
planet.
it's supposed to be like 6 weeks or something craziness.
It's
like it's
ridiculously
insane
fast.
how fast it does.
Because
But yeah, so even the ones like if you've played that video game or if you're looking at all these different ones that fight and stuff like that, so they will send those bugs in to essentially kill off anything that could slow down the process of turning it into biomass. Of like literally
Just
like being able to
everything.
eat it.
Yeah.
But then the ones that they send down there and evolve and fight and stuff like that are literally just, okay, we're going to use some of our ability to help make this go faster.
Yeah.
And then we'll just reabsorb it.
Yeah.
So like by the end of it, when they release that final like nuke the planet and like they just essentially turn the whole thing into a McDonald's milkshake and then they just
basically.
suck that shit up.
All the
Like,
high
it's-
fleet, like big ships, like the big, huge living ships that they have,
it's,
because
it's also a
their-
big bug.
Yeah, their high fleets are literally all just giant bugs that birth little bugs onto the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a swarm in space that sends a landborne swarm to eat shit so that they can then pull it up into space.
Yeah.
And but it's so funny because they literally just have kind of like their own system of FAFO.
First in, first out.
No, fuck around and find
out.
And so because it kind of brings me back around to the whole story of like the first Tyrannic War in McCrag. That's where they were like, okay, we found biomass. Let's go in there, eat shit. Fucking
We
leave.
found boys.
And so they literally sent it.
Oh,
high fleet, and they
boys.
fought hard as fuck, and they were fighting so much that like the dudes on McCrag were like, "No, don't worry, we can handle it. It's fine." And then they couldn't handle it, and they just pulled all the dudes into like the main capital area. I don't know the whole lot about McCrag, but they pulled them into the main area because they're like, "Okay, this is kind of getting out of hand. Let's just defend here. We'll fight it out. It's fine."
Yeah.
And it just never ended because literally in the thing it says like for every one we killed, 3 took its place because they just never end. You kill one and they're just going to keep sending them down from space.
Well, and it's things like, hey, that bug that just killed that space marine, that bug is 2 hours old.
Yep.
And it took me 10 minutes to kill it.
Yep.
But if there's one,
Mm-hmm.
there's 1,000.
Yep.
Well, I've personally seen 10,000 of them. It's like, okay, so there's 1 million.
Yep.
And it's like, but that's just here. And it's like, right, that's just here. There's 1 million.
In the visible spectrum.
Yeah,
That's all
so
you can see.
Now you've got the rest of the planet. And we're talking like
Gaddafi.
it started with some fucking bug sperm 3 days ago. And now we've got
We've got
these
hive
ridiculous bugs.
tyrants.
And now like a week later and it's like, why is that building moving?
Venom
Exactly.
throws.
Because that's what happened in McCrag too, because they sent all those dudes and they fought for a bit. They were like, okay, yeah, we're fucking them up. There's piles and piles of these bodies, but they never end. And the bugs are like, all right, look, there's a spicy bitch over there somewhere. I don't know who it is, but he's fucking me up and I'm tired of it. So they started sending more and more dudes over there to the point where they sent down a Swarm Lord. And for those who don't know, the Swarm Lord is basically
Big boy.
Super Saiyan Hive Tyrant.
Yeah.
And so they sent him down there and said, hey, go find that damn thing and fuck him up. I'm tired of this taking too damn long. Go do that. And so he landed, and suddenly all the bugs started thinking and they started strategizing. And that's the first time we saw like actual strategy within the bugs, because it says in the story too that some of the Hormigons that got close would just go in and lay down. They just lay amongst the bodies. And then whenever the Hive Tyrant got close and broke the line, they all stood up and just charged in. So they blended in with the shit around them, so that they just were left alone.
Yeah, it's interesting how they work, because it's almost it almost works like a computer virus.
Mm-hmm.
So like it'll just run rampant anywhere it can easily get into.
Yeah.
But if it hits up against like a firewall or whatever,
Yep.
it'll start this whole like it'll instead of spreading itself out, it'll like congeal and then do a brute force in that
Yep.
one position.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll try everything to try and break password or whatever. It'll just
Yep.
start rolling
Because that's-
through all of these things. and because there's kind of it's not an intelligence, but it is almost like a genetic memory of like, okay, when we've run into these problems before,
Yeah.
this has solved it, or this has solved it, or this has solved it.
Yeah.
And so
That's where
when
start
you're
getting
saying
a
that
lot
they'll
of your big bugs.
strategize,
Yeah.
it's not even so much of a strategy thing as it is we have the bodies to run every iteration of the solutions we know to figure this out.
Yeah.
And we're just going to keep running them until we hit the one that works.
Well, that's the thing too, is because you got to think about the Swarm Lord had a Tyrant Guard on him, so they actually had bugs around that guy to say, "Hey, guard this dude from anything. Make sure he can organize and see what's going on, infiltrate, get in, kill whatever that thing is."
But we see it in ant colonies. And nobody's going to accuse ants of like having emotion.
Bro, they got strategy.
But they do the whole like, hey,
Work together.
we need to get together to carry this thing, or they use that pheromone communication
Yeah.
thing for information to go back and forth. And then they have the whole like the queen has a guard and they build their structures to make sure that stays protected. Like they have ones that bring that information back and feed that. It's giving the information back out. Like it's so this isn't even like a sci-fi thing. Like this is
It's
Actually happens.
we can see it in
it's
nature.
just bigger, like, oh my god, what the fuck's going on type shit.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you see thousands of Marines get chopped down by some bugs, and you're like, what the fuck?
Do Tyranids have like foes with each other? Like the other hive fleets are like foes with each other, and they like fight for domination.
They will
and-
eat each other.
They
Yeah.
will eat each other and feed a hive mind, so that because
Interesting.
they gather information upon consumption. So another thing that happened during the same fight, one, they got in through that line of defense. Swarmlord got in, literally almost killed Marnius Calgar. Like he was basically dead. They had to
He's got that plot armor, yo.
yeah. They had to beam him up because if I guarantee you another minute and he would have been erased off.
Where
the-
was Marnius Calgar?
His armor is blue.
Yeah, but
he is a named character with blue armor. That fucker is invincible.
He
not
went up
dying.
to the fucking ship and said, "I want to be back down there as soon as possible." After he woke up, they gave him literally the bare minimum like healing that they could give him so that he could start working again because the Swarm Lord went in, fucked him up. But what were we?
Yeah, but you can't
Same
kill the
for that.
Ultramarines.
Yeah,
That's
but-
he's got
Sorry,
that
Robo
GW
Girly
protection.
Man died and then came back to life.
He
The
didn't.
Emperor.
He didn't die. He just had to take a nap.
Yeah.
Wow.
But going back to the whole like when they went back to fight them again, because they literally left. They're like, okay, shit's fucked. We'll be back to reassess this shit. And so Calgar and them kind of took a second. And when they went back, all of the bugs had consumed all of those Marines and had gathered all the information and tactics from them. And so they were literally using the Marines' tactics to circumnavigate their current shit.
Well, and because when you're talking about Ultramarines are all about the whole like we know every strength and every weakness of both ourselves and our enemy. So when you consume that knowledge,
Yep.
you're also consuming what the weaknesses are of that chapter. So now you know how to fight that chapter
Yep. And that's exactly what they did.
better.
I think they went. I have to read more into it, but I think they ended up going back to McCrag and fought more, got fucked up again, and then I think some Chaos Marines came in and fucked up the Hive Fleet.
Probably Black Legion.
I can't remember who it was, but they came in from like the warp and fucked up the Hive Fleet for a second because I think they closed it on. That's what happened. They sent in a fucking. I forgot what the ships are called in space for Marines. The big fucking.
It depends. So they have like because there's Dreadnought class and
Yeah.
there's
Whatever the big fucker is.
Yeah.
It was an emperor level shit.
Okay.
According to the story, and they fucking literally sent it in and overloaded the
some
reactors.
imperial size shit right there. That's a fucking
Imperial size shit.
They sent that bitch into the fucking Hive Fleet and nuked it with its reactors, and then
The
that was-
barrage?
no, like literally the ship.
No, they
No.
like rammed the Hive Fleet with the ship
Yeah.
and then let it pop.
Like the barrage mission in Space Marine 2 where you're throwing it into the planet. The
Oh
old
yeah,
ship.
a little bit.
yeah.
The
But
barrage
this
ship.
is in the Tyrannic War, so they literally send like a not the video game in the book.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But then they call it a barrage style ship.
No, this was like
No.
literally the biggest ship they had. They sent it in, and
You're talking
blew
about
the bitch
ballistic
up.
barrage, and that's when you send the train into the city.
I thought they called that big ship a barrage.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Mm-mm. But yeah, that's what they did. They sent that bitch in there and blew the fucking shit out of the Hive fleet, and then said, "Okay, well, that's the best we can do." And I
Did
think
it
it
even
ended
do
up
anything
working
to
out
the Hive
somehow. I can't remember. I have to read more into it, but that was just to say like, oh my god, they literally almost wiped Calgar off the fucking face, and then the fact that they took over McCrag for a second is wild.
Which
to
they had
me.
to win that fight because you can't
Yeah.
can't get rid of the
Crag.
you can't get
Yeah.
rid of McCrag.
Mhm. But they almost
So,
did.
I mean, they could. They got rid of Cadia.
Yeah. But that's where you
And
get
Caliban.
your bigger bugs and shit like that. I mean, because you got fucking. We went straight to Swarmlord, but you got Ripper, Little Beady,
Mhm.
Termagant, Hormagant, and then you start jumping into like the different gaunts, like Barb gaunts.
Yeah, you've got the Barbagaunt and you've got the
Neurogaunt.
Neurogaunt. Like
fucking
there's
Neurogaunt.
there's so essentially the Gaunt title are all the like soldier versions.
Yeah.
So this would be the equivalent of like,
Infantry guys.
how are there so many different fucking just basic intercessors? And it's like, well,
Yeah, because they count.
they are all infantry, but they all have a
Different job.
job that they do,
and they count them as endless multitude units.
Yeah.
in the game.
which is infantry.
yeah,
And then above that you start getting into elite units, which from a Space
Warriors.
Marine standpoint is when you'd be getting into like, Terminators or the
Named
special
characters.
gun units and
Yeah.
the jumpy boys and that kind of stuff.
yeah. Because you got the lictors, you got the leapers, you got warriors. Big bugs is
Psychophage.
I don't know. Yeah, the psychophage. We saw that in the cinematic too for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Leviathan.
And
that
then,
was such a weird scene. It was like,
And then you get into all the tyrant class stuff,
yeah,
and then the command level units, so all the lords and
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because it's there's Hive Tyrant, there's Winged Hive Tyrant,
Winged Prime.
and then there's Swarmlord. The Winged Prime is still a Tyranid Prime, so it's like a warrior, a special warrior, but he's got wings.
Gotcha.
yeah,
But
he's more sergeant or lieutenant
but yeah,
level.
he's still a character though.
So, yeah,
Yeah, he's still a character.
But, well, I guess so. I guess technically he's more lieutenant level.
Because they
Um,
put him in the character tab, and I was like, okay,
And then you've got the stuff that's at like captain level,
yeah.
and then chapter master level, and all that kind of stuff. So there's like, and then you can get into the Titanic level stuff
Yeah,
with the bugs.
start getting ridiculous with it, and start getting Tyrannifex, Carnifex, Exocrine, big body bugs that are coming in, and then you get into the Biotitan.
Yeah, the Hierophant and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, which is
Mm,
which is
that's Titanic.
Titanic
Yeah.
level. This is
And it's interesting. I want to see what book it is. I'm sure it's out there. I haven't read enough yet of what war had all of them shits in it, because that would have to be like
Tyrannic
disastrous.
Wars.
well, and it's I think you have to look at you're not going to evolve or unleash that unless a planet is just really resisting,
Mm-hmm.
where you have to keep pushing
Yeah.
the strength of
Yeah.
what you're going to let evolve or what you're going to
Mm-hmm.
drop in,
Yeah.
because they don't. Every once in a while, they will send in an extra unit to
Yeah.
go take over, but most of the time, the longer it takes to take a planet, the more the bugs just evolve that are on the planet, and it just kind of ends up filling itself kind of in towards like, nope, we're meeting too much resistance,
Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm. And it,
upgrades.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And it
And-
kind of
because I see the art all the time of just like the pure ridiculous amount of bugs with all of the different size shits on there. That fuck, dude, I would love to see that story and where it ended up, because that sounds wild to me. That level of fight would be ridiculous.
yeah. Well, and it's interesting. I mean, because it's how's it going
That's
to
what I
be
thought.
handled? Well, McCrag doesn't surprise me that
Yeah.
it happened on that
It would
planet,
have to
because
be.
it's the resistance would be crazy, and
You're
McCrag's
gonna
gonna have
learn a lot
access to
about
the
Ultramarines.
weaponry,
Mm-hmm.
the weaponry and the defense to
Yeah.
make the bugs send
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sense to me, because the pure ridiculous chaos of that front line would be just wild. I know that it's because you got a bunch of dudes with las guns, and then you got your Marines and shit like that are fucking smashing all of the shit into the bugs. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
we got dudes that are just piled up on top of each other trying to eat Marines and shit. It's,
And
it's gotta be insane.
with it also being, that's the capital planet of the 500 worlds. That planet is going to have access to everything,
Yeah.
all the way up to, Imperator class Titan
Yeah.
kind of deployment effort.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can put that kind of resistance up, the
Yeah.
fleet is then going to kind of respond in kind and kind of go.
You know what I find interesting? We have the Hierophant Biotitan, right? I don't think that measures up to like warlords and shit like that.
No, absolutely not.
No.
So I'm wondering if GW will eventually will give us a bigger Titan for the bugs.
No, only because I think you're thinking like a 1-for-1 exchange. Like, what is its? But like your Hierophant against like a Warhound,
Yeah, that's.
I can see it, right?
I guess you're right, because I mean,
But
there's
like,
not enough warlords
like,
to.
so let's just look at it from a gameplay standpoint, right? The Hierophant, which is a giant 4-legged
Yeah,
fucking bug, huge. It looks like a giant worm with 4 legs, but it's
Yeah.
huge. It's a massive
big,
item.
ridiculous thing.
In the gameplay, what's point value on the Hierophant?
810.
Okay, so it's 810. So it's actually fewer points than the Warhound, because the
Yeah.
Warhound's 1100.
Yeah,
I believe a Warlord clocks in at just shy of 2.
yeah. No, I think it's more.
So 2200. So if you look at it from that standpoint, you were talking about
It's got to be
2.5 Hierophants point wise to catch up with a Warlord.
Yeah,
So yeah, if you had 2.5,
yeah,
so 22, they're 810.
yeah,
So just shy of being able to put 3 on the table. So
yeah,
3 Hierophants versus a Warlord?
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
you actually have to
it
look
trades off.
at play value when it comes in about like, well, why wouldn't they do a bigger one? And it's like, well, because it is still a swarm army.
But I want big bugs.
Right, but I mean, but it goes against the play style of bugs,
Yeah,
because bugs
it's 'cause
should
they
be
are
it's
swarm
just sheer
level.
amount of bodies because
Yeah.
they can.
They just endlessly supply the amount.
Yeah,
of
like
bugs.
nobody's talking about the rarity of this. You have to have this, 14,000-year-old machine to
old
put
one-eyed
one out there.
dogs. Yeah.
So
I was remembering the wrong data sheet. A Warlord Titan is 3,500.
So it's 3,500 points for a Warlord. So that we are talking at that point 4 Hierophants and some change.
But how many warlords are still around in 40K?
Accounted for? Not a lot.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
There's some lost ones.
The fact that they would encounter one of those is a lot
Very
more
rare.
I think. So
Right.
they
And
don't
that's
have to
what I'm saying is
compensate for that.
like every Warlord Titan has a name. And it's like they're all recorded and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So the bugs
a
wouldn't have to
Hierophant,
respond.
if a planet needs to put a Hierophant out, that's just make a bigger bug. It and we're talking about the fleet could crank out a Hierophant in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It takes a bit longer to make.
We're on McCrag.
Yeah.
Now that you say that's where the art is from. There were Hierophants on
And
McCrag.
you can't make more Warlords. So
Yeah.
like they're all of them that have been made are made. They're from an age of technology that we're not allowed to replicate.
Yeah.
So
And I think
then I
even-
think the youngest Warlord is like 12,000 years old. And that's one of the most recent ones ever made is like 12,000 or 13,000 years.
Yeah, so they didn't even have to respond for something like that.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're
that's what-
talking about the last Warlord was made before a single bug ever entered our galaxy.
Math is mathing.
Yeah, the math is mathing. So if you think about it that
As
way,
far as we know.
But then at the same time, they've also described some of the fleet ships, the actual
Yeah.
motherships and stuff, and they dwarf
They do.
everything that the humans
you-
put in space.
Yeah, because you watched Angels of Death. They
the thing
literally
that came
fought
through
the
that
fucking-
fissure
Yeah,
doesn't. I mean,
because they fought that. They put that sort of ball through whatever to try and get the fuck out of there, and that ship was literally just eating every other ship as it passed by,
but like,
and it dwarfed the sword of ball.
it was like snacking on them.
Yeah.
like just
Yum, yum,
yeah,
yum,
no,
yum.
it was like the sword of ball was like this big, and the mouth was like
yeah, it was
this fucking
ridiculous.
big. It's
It was like the
insanely
same
large.
scale as the sort of ball flying by a planet,
Mm-hmm.
And that
Yeah.
was one of the ships that was coming through.
And there's
So
thousands of them
The
that show up in a
scale
hive
of the
fleet.
ship, the scale of the fleet is so big
Mhm.
that without entering the warp, the hive fleets can tear open reality.
Yeah.
And that's how they travel. Is they're able to shear
Synaptic
reality itself.
waves.
Yeah. I
Big
mean
brains.
that's insane.
It's creepy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So
And
I
like
mean,
the
yeah.
whole comparison too of the just for size of like bugs. Like we were looking at different models the other day in the store, and if you put like a marine, regular dude, you assume a marine is what 9 feet tall.
It's
12.
between 2.5 and 3 meters. So yeah.
Yeah,
So 8 to 10 feet.
yeah, 8 to 10 feet tall. And if you put a marine there and put a termagant next to him, he comes about waist high.
Yeah.
And if you think about a human, is only average
Yeah,
6
your
feet tall.
your average termagant is
It's like a lion.
the size of it head to head about as tall as a human.
Yeah.
I mean it's a big goddamn bug. This
Yeah.
is not like
And there's
oh
millions.
that
of
must be a dog-sized bug. No, 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 no,
No.
no. We're talking about apex predator-sized.
Yeah.
Bug.
That's what I'm saying. I like to think of the hormigons as literally just bug lions. Like they,
Yeah, wearing armor.
yeah.
So it's big, it's armored, and by the way, it's also going to use its own arm to shoot you.
Yeah.
I think we looked this up the other day when we were trying to figure out the realistic heights of some Tyranids and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was that the Termagants
Yeah, we did because we were comparing
were
the
a
warriors.
size of like an average 5'8" male, but then it was the next step up. I can't remember what it was, the Von Ryan Leapers or something, or the
the leapers. I don't know because they kind of do that weird squat.
No, but we did do this when we were playing the
Yeah,
game,
'cause
and it
we were
was
like-
the Warriors had to be like 12 feet tall.
Yeah,
or
'cause
Yeah,
something,
the
like 12 or
Warriors,
14 feet tall.
stand over
the Warriors
the
were
Marines in the game.
about the same height as a Space Marine, if
It's like,
not a
fuck,
little bit
that's
taller.
Ridiculous. The
And
amount of
then the-
those that come out, it's like I can't imagine standing out on the street and being like, "Hey, we're being invaded by Tyranids," and you look up at this fucking thing, and there's 500 of them behind it that are
Oh yeah,
ready to. They could step on you and
Or a
kill you.
Hive Lord.
Like,
the Hive Lord.
God.
You just come out as like the Hive Lord was something like we looked it up,
Yeah.
and it was something like
Hive
28 feet
tyrants
tall.
are like ridiculous.
It was
tall.
a
Yeah, it's-
3-story building.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, nope.
Yeah, no.
I don't give a fuck if I am a gene enhanced super soldier. If I
no.
come around the corner and there's a 3-story bug coming at me with
that's a Hive
psychic
tyrant.
powers, fuck off, kill
Yeah,
me. Just
that thing's like this tall model wise.
yeah,
It's bigger than a Space Marine.
It's like
it's twice. as
oh
tall
yeah,
as
because the
Space Marine.
Space Marines come up to
Yeah.
like the knee of the Hive tyrant.
Well, Space Marines are roughly an inch tall.
Yeah,
The Primaris are about 1.5 inches.
yeah, because they're about this tall. The Marines are about it's knee to waist height depending, and so it makes me think of the bigger fucking bugs like Tyrannifex that are like the fucking. You ever watch the videos of, like the
Well, I
quarry
think
dump trucks like
one of the
big
really
fucking
good
dudes
ways
that,
to
like,
look
dwarf
at
the
it-
little car.
Yeah.
Like,
One of the really good ways to look at it is that like what the Carnifex
yeah,
is about the size of a Land Raider.
yeah.
The Land Raider holds like 14 Space Marines plus the driver and the gunner and whatever. So it is a tank
Yeah.
without the barrel on it.
Yeah, and they call them scything talons.
So this is a bug that's the size
Mm-hmm.
of a main battle tank.
Yeah, 40K main battle tank.
Yeah.
was just-
So if you want that in comparison for us, go find a human standing next to an M1 Abrams.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our main battle tank.
Yeah.
Now turn that bitch into a beetle.
No, I think it's bigger.
What I'm just saying to wrap your head
Yeah. Oh,
around
yeah,
how
yeah,
big
yeah.
this goddamn bug would have to be.
Yeah,
Like for you to feel like
I think it'd be like 3 fucking Abrams. How big? Because if you think about how many people we fit in Abrams,
well, like 4.
4.
But it's also because it's not meant.
Yeah,
the
but-
Land Raider is literally an
an
armored
APC,
personnel
yeah.
character. Like it's not really a tank.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is, if you wanted something scale wise, you have to take an M1 Abrams, a main battle tank, turn it into a bug. So find a picture of just a human standing next to an M1, and then look at that and go like, holy fuck.
Yeah,
That's how big the bug would be. If you were a 9-foot tall
Yeah, if you
Space
were a
Marine,
Marine, yeah, that's
that would be the
accurate.
scale of the fucking bug.
Yeah.
So you still need to tack on
that's fucking
another 30%
Mm-hmm.
to that. But at least then that would give you kind of a visual of just how fuck off these bugs
Yeah.
are.
ridiculous. And then my favorite is like looking at the fucking Norn emissary, dude. I can't. it's a small model. We thought it was going to be bigger, but Jesus Christ, when you think of the scale of that goddamn thing,
Yeah, it's nuts.
it's you
Well,
can
it's
step
Pacific Rim.
over fucking walls. Like like if you look at the mall, it could step probably over the mall.
It's Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Like, if you kind of want an idea of how big a goddamn Tyranid is, go watch Pacific Rim. Those kaiju are very bug inspired.
Yeah.
Go watch that,
Mm-hmm.
and those bugs that are just like stepping out of the ocean
Mm-hmm.
and walking through major cities and are like, you know, kind of sort of have to weave through
Yeah.
office buildings and shit downtown.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's fucking ridiculous.
And we're not even talking about those are the rare ones.
Yeah.
Those are just kind of because everything else that's going to come running around the corner at you is like the zoo got loose and
Yeah.
everything else came out. Or like, except for it's all bugs and they all wear armor. There are no squishy
No.
Tyranids. There is nothing like, oh, would you still love me if I was the worm? It's not a
Even the Rippers have little armor
a little
plates on their back.
all armored. All of them
And
armored.
apparently it's like
Ripper storms are like little roly
substantial
polies.
fucking roly poly. I want to pet one. Just like
It's just a little roly poly.
It's an
Could you imagine
armadillo.
that if you just like found a room full of ripper swarms that they didn't know you were coming? You was like, boo, and they was like, beep, and they just like turned into little pill bug balls.
oh
It would-
They're like little armadillos.
Actually, that's kind of size comparison, kind of accurate.
I think they're bigger.
They're bigger, right?
I think they're a little bit
think
bigger
they're-
than an armadillo.
They're medium-sized dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I don't
And
want.
they work in groups.
Millions.
So I was just thinking,
Yeah.
if
millions.
if a
of
space marine
medium-sized
is
dogs.
10, we'll say for easy math, 10 feet tall, and a space marine in the game is 1 inch tall, those like 12-inch models, like the Keeper of Secrets,
Yeah.
is 120 feet tall.
Yeah.
That would
So
add
if you can imagine just seeing a Keeper of Secrets on the battlefield, you're like, what the fuck?
Well, you got to figure like my knights.
Yeah.
The pilot seat has a human in it,
Yeah.
right? And my knights are some of the biggest models in the game, so they're like 9 and 10 inches tall.
Yeah.
My lancers are, my Cerastus I think are 11 inches tall or something
You're a
like
little
that.
bit taller.
And so yeah, if you stick a space marine next to my knight, it like it's halfway up the shin,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so you'd have to stack like 8 space marines on top of each other to get to the height of my knight,
Yeah.
and they're all 9 feet tall. So
Yeah.
that math states that my average knight is 72 feet tall.
Yeah.
That's why I like the
And there's
cinematic.
there's bugs that when knights stand in front of them, they're
Yeah.
it looks like a boxing match,
Yeah.
and it's like that's a 7-story bug. It like
yeah.
nope, I'm good.
That's why I like the variant of the Norn Emissary, the Assimilator. I want to get one because I've started looking more and more into them, and they're just rowdy. They're rowdy bugs, dude. They have harpoons in their chest that literally shoot out into whoever they're in combat with, and if you try to fall back from combat, it does like mortals from
Nice.
That's
ripping
awesome.
out the harpoons and shit.
Your army's also getting a lot
Like-
like my army is, where you start just looking at it going like, why do you need this? And it's like, because I don't have one.
Yeah.
Like it's because I have everything else.
Yeah.
And now I
That's exactly
need
what's happening.
I need this one because I don't have it yet.
I want old one eye because I don't have them yet.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know what the rules are going to do in 10 days.
I think a more accurate size comparison for a Carnifex would be an elephant.
Elephant and a
So
Carnifex.
Walking up next to an elephant that had 10 to 15 foot long
Scythes on its fucking
either
arms.
side, or a giant gun.
So yeah, I mean it's just the scale of them is hard to process because we don't have anything to kind of
It kind of-
reference. That's why I think like Pacific Rim is a really good
Yeah.
way to look at it. Is
It
it's
just
like
pushes that idea more where if we were to actually like in person see Tyranids,
you
we'd
just shit.
probably just go
You
insane.
just shit.
Yeah.
You just
Poop and run away.
I pooped. Yeah, like that was
yeah, exactly.
That's my Hershey kiss.
yeah.
Like, there's no way. Anybody who's like plays a different like army or whatever is like, "Sure, I could take on Tyranids. It's fine. They're just a bunch of bugs." I'm like, I really don't think so, there, bud. Like,
They're armored.
I really don't
And we
think
have
that's
weapons
the case.
nowadays that aren't going to pierce a fucking Tyranid, so.
Well, the advanced weaponry that the Space Marines have,
Barely pierces
Yeah.
it.
it's
trouble.
it's not like it's one round. Like they're
Yeah.
pumping rounds into these things, and these are 40 millimeter.
Red Bull cans,
You're firing
energy drink. Cans.
a rocket propelled grenade
Yeah.
that doesn't explode till it gets inside something.
Mhm.
That's what a mass reactive round does. It has
Yeah.
to be encapsulated in mass, and then it
Yeah.
pops. And it takes rounds of these things.
Yeah, because you look at the
To
Warriors
take the bugs
in,
out.
Space Marine, where they do the fucking thing, they cross their arms,
Yeah,
and
and
put their
guard
heads
up.
down, and you're like, just drop your goddamn guard for me for a second. I've wasted half of my ammo
Yeah.
cache shooting into your goddamn forehead.
Yep.
I need moss.
And so yeah, I mean they
It's
are
scary, dude.
they are
In the
it's
flesh
kind of cool. I
wars.
wish they were handling the story a little bit better. I wish they were leaning more into the Leviathan arc.
Yeah, I would like to
Um,
see more of it.
Because to be honest with you, the scariest thing that's threatening the galaxy right now
It's the
is literally the
They-
size of High Fleet Leviathan.
And it's
and,
the
uh,
Emperor that's drawing him in because they honed in on his whole
His little
energy
warp
and stuff
beacon.
like that.
Straight up,
Yeah.
he's one of those blue lights you put in your backyard.
Yeah.
Like it's the whole like that's
Hey.
yeah.
It's like in A
they're
Bug's
they're all
Life.
just sitting there going like, I want to be real close to this light. Like how close
yeah.
how close to this thing can I get?
exactly
Like I
what's
just want to, and
happening.
that's exactly what's happening. They are by far the biggest threat.
Yep.
And
they're being even more strategic.
they
now.
can't be reasoned with.
No.
Like this isn't like a, you know what? Okay, you stay on your side of the tear, and we'll stay on our side of the tear, and we'll just kind of let this be for now.
No.
They can't be reasoned with. They're not here for resources. Well, they are,
Yeah.
but they're not here for, oh, we have to take this over and it's under new management or whatever. It's like,
No,
nope. It's consumption, move on. Consumption, move
a
on.
razor
Consumption,
tool
move on.
steroids.
Yeah, it's they are quite literally like a locust plague. Like they're going to come through, and they're only going to be around long enough to delete
Yeah.
what's in the way. Like they're not good, they're not evil, they're not any. It is just
Yep.
strictly the hardwired
animalistic.
programming of I must eat, I must move, I must
Yep.
eat, I must move, and
Expand the hive.
and there's nothing else that they want, and there is not going to be a Tum Tum's full now.
No.
Like that's
I think this is good. I'm going to go back where we came from.
yeah. Yep. Turns
That's
out
a nice snack.
I found the perfect snack. No reason to keep going
I
Now
wonder
my
what's gonna happen.
blankie and my juice box. I'm going down for a nap.
Now here's something. Oh man. Stupid.
You
So the eventual thing are if they do end up making it to Terra, they take the Emperor.
100%.
What happens past that?
The Emperor reincarnates.
So that's when we get into
Go
the whole
full
idea
chaos.
of well, it's
He can't die.
it's the fallout of
They'll
so
certainly
the
try.
Tyranids make it to Terra. Terra doesn't stand a chance. Because by that point, if they've penetrated enough into the galaxy
It's over.
that they can hit Terra,
They've already taken Mars.
well, and you can't get anything closer now. So no, even if we have people far flung, you can't get into the center now because everything's going to be surrounded. And they eat him. Yes, we could get into the whole like, well, he's a perpetual. Perpetuals technically don't die unless they just elect to not
Come back.
come back. He's not going to do that. He's got too much that he's built to be like, yeah, well, fuck, the bug got me.
This was a good run.
I think it turns into, at least in my theory, the Emperor looks the way he does. Kayla and I were actually talking about this earlier today.
Yeah, you were.
That what you're seeing on the throne is what the Emperor wants you to see. And there's a lot of in-canon evidence for that. There's been a lot of how he presents himself to people so that he looks a certain way, you feel a certain way around him.
Well, it's happened many times when he went to go get his sons. He's changed his appearance.
When he went to go challenge Vulcan, he made himself look entirely
and,
different and stuff like that.
So you just be
The
eating,
Space Wolf guy.
So the bugs would just be
Yeah.
eating the visage of
No,
what
it's I don't think he is this corpse. This powerless corpse that's sitting on there that's nothing more than a lighthouse.
I think he's sitting there, but it's like a do not disturb. That's why I have no
I think this
arms.
is way of saying, okay, now I can actually go, because we know the grand experiment was he was fucking around with that portal that's underneath the throne for the webways to try and rebuild this ability to move through the galaxy without having to fuck around inside the warp.
because the orcs are coming.
And he had kind of corked off the spill of the warp into Terra via this tear. That's why he was so mad at Magnus, as Magnus tried to text him in the middle of this whole experiment and it blew everything up.
Literally.
And so they're like, Magnus didn't do anything wrong. He did. He did. He was told,
He
hey,
sent a
don't
text
fuck
message.
around with the creepy space magic. And he was like, but Dad, the only way I know how to get a hold of you is through Craigslist back pages. And it's like, no, fucker. Write a letter. Like, I don't like,
See, it's like
Fucking-
it's like internet and home phones back in the day, where it's like you're trying to use the
Yeah.
home phone if you
Hey,
don't dial up
hey.
internet.
I'm doing our taxes online. Don't make a phone call.
Makes a phone call.
Okay.
God damn it!
Boop, 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 boop. Fucker. It, like, yeah.
See, what
So,
makes me think too is like if the
so my thing is, he gets eaten.
yeah
Whatever he's currently working on, either continuing to stitch up this tear in the warp or
Bringing
whatever.
everybody back.
If he gets interrupted again, if he gets Magnus a second time,
yeah
we lose Terra.
oh yeah.
Like, regardless, we lose Terra.
Yeah, 'cause
but
the
we
bugs
don't
got-
lose it to the
yeah.
bugs. It's whatever he's working on implodes, and
Destroys the planet.
it
Kills
destroys
everything.
Everything, anyways. Which it would take the bugs,
yeah We'll
uh,
take that part of the Hive fleet.
at least that chunk, right?
Yeah.
Then at that point, I think what you have is a pissed off emperor
Yeah
who just goes like, "Oh, we want to play psychic fuck games, okay," and then he just starts fucking. He goes in and like reverse charges Synapse and just fucking
yeah
melts
them
the
out.
brain of every
Yeah,
bug
exactly.
in the
Can you
galaxy.
imagine if the fucking bugs managed to consume the biomass from the Emperor? What kind of like wild explosion
Well,
of
I think
knowledge
what
they
I
would
think,
get from that
I
shit?
think what you have is an emperor-controlled fleet at that point.
yeah,
Because I
Imagine
do.
a bunch
I
of
think
bugs
I just think all of a
with little,
sudden it's just like
fucking
yeah.
halos, like fucking
All of a sudden, it's all these little laurels just pop up, and they're just
Yeah.
like stand here, just three fingers, just
exactly on two arms. Just,
Yeah, just-
the six fucking legs.
fucking. His son's just going, Dad.
It is me, little Ripper. Fucking.
Yeah.
It's me.
That's what the Ripper just crawls up on the throne.
Yeah, just sits there, little butt.
You were always a disappointment to me.
Yeah, and I think it ends up like because he is so yes, they are unfathomable in scale, but we still have no point of reference for the power level of the Emperor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like just how fucking strong he is.
yeah.
Other than like
There's like inklings, but we don't know for sure.
other than just statements that they're not like written in riddles, but it's just statements of like, oh, he is the most powerful psyker in the known universe. Like we know of nothing with more powerful psychic ability than him.
Well, it's like when he ripped open the rift and threw Mortarion back in Nurgle's garden, destroyed half of
You mean
Nurgle's garden.
right after he brought Gilliman back to life
Yeah,
and then spoke through his
I
body? and
literally
shit?
said
Yeah.
he died and came back to life, and you're like, Gilliman didn't die.
Oh, I thought you meant because of his little 10,000 year nap.
No.
Yeah, this is because that was after they woke him up.
Yeah, Bobby G died.
But yeah, I mean, he was able to channel his power through another being,
Yeah.
grab a demon Primarch, chuck him through a tear in reality, and destroy half of Nurgle's garden by proxy.
Yeah.
Like,
told
So what did he
Mortarion-
do to Hive Fleet
no,
Leviathan?
that's what I'm saying. Is like if he actually went like, okay, fuckers, and like got up off the chair and was like,
yeah.
Well, there's no arms, but he told Mortarion, I could fix you. I'm just not going to right now.
well, he said, I could forgive you, but it's not time. Like I can save you, it's just not time yet.
Yeah,
And that's in the book.
That's crazy. I want to know what would happen to like the Hive or like the Norn queen of the Hive Fleet if that shit happened.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I was not expecting you here, but
Yeah. So if you really want to point out like a big sci-fi point of reference that most of our fan base will probably have seen function-wise, it's the Borg.
Yeah.
The Borg from Star Trek is very Tyranid. It's very. They don't express emotion, but they are all connected. But there is this one thing at the top that's kind of
yeah.
guiding.
Yeah.
Not manipulating, but
Well,
guiding.
it's
Setting principle.
well, they're the CPU. They're the whole
Yeah.
like all information flows in, and then I flow the information back out, and that
Yeah.
keeps it all at least driving in one
Uniform.
direction. But there is no real individuality, but they will, in a situation, adapt to overcome what's going on.
Yeah.
So if you kind of want to see mechanically,
Oh,
without
dude.
digging into a bunch of it, it is very much the Borg from the Next Generation.
Yeah. That makes me think too is like, what kind of fucking. What's the word I'm thinking of?
While you're thinking about that, I was thinking, what if the Emperor is pulling Hive Fleet Leviathan to Terra on purpose?
What if he wants a snack?
No, to get Gilliman and the Lion and
This will make my boys talk to each other.
make them talk to each other to work together again.
I brought you all here today.
Because the Lion does not like Gilliman. He is not a fan. It's very clear in that book. Multiple times in that fucking book, he talks about how much he hates him.
The Boy Scout.
He hates him.
I remember what I was gonna say. So, what kind of paradox would it create if the Emperor fucked up the bugs, right? And the bugs had to come up with an adaptation within themselves to go
handle
back
the Emperor?
To the Emperor.
Big-
Would it bounce? Would it bounce back and forth type thing?
Gene Stiller called.
Where
One
I
GSE.
where I think you end up with the solution to that is we know the Emperor essentially has the ability to become a warp god. He almost does it one time and then literally puts the power down. So he is able to tap into a well of power that the Tyranids are cut off from.
Yeah.
So biologically, could they produce something that fights the Emperor physically? Sure. There's been a couple things that have almost taken the Emperor out. He almost got taken out by orcs.
Yeah.
He essentially does get taken
Horus?
out by Horus. There's been a couple other fights where he has been fucking kind of laid low.
Well, he can't die till all of his sons are dead.
Well, Elanius Parsons fucking stabs him. Like, now it was like the Tower of Babel, but
Still stabbed him.
he does stab his ass.
Got your ass, bitch.
I mean, so he can physically be hurt. I think what you run into is that he can tap into a power level
Yeah.
that the bugs can't adapt to. Like there is going to be a wall that they hit where they can scale up,
They're
but
just
they
gonna
can't
die.
scale deeper.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, and honestly, from a 40K standpoint, that's the Emperor's plot armor. It's the Superman complex or the Goku complex, right? It's the whole like, well, who would win in this fight? The answer is the Emperor. It's always going to be the fucking Emperor. Because even now, he quote unquote lost a fight 10,000 years ago. Then everybody's like, he didn't really. He knew it was going to happen. He could see the future. You're going to tell me he lost a fight and he can see the future?
Yeah.
Like, no. It has to happen this way.
Well, not until all the Horcruxes are dead, aka his sons. That's my fan theory.
There's that, right? That he's got that.
Just imagine
He's got that out there.
No, so
Well, my theory, and we've discussed it on the show before, but my theory is that he knows it takes at least 10,000 years of worship to birth a new god because that's how the Drakari made Slanesh. And now when he gets injured and gets put on the throne and can't tell the Imperium, hey, don't do that anymore. And then so you have the whole the Levictus Divinitatis, whatever it is, the first brochure that says that, hey, have you found our Lord and Savior, the Emperor of Mankind?
Yeah.
That he needs to build this worship level to get the emotional reflection in the warp to view him as a god, to actually
to
birth.
make him a god.
So he doesn't have to absorb warp power to become a god. The belief of mankind just makes him a god,
And then now the orcs
which makes him as powerful in the warp as it does in mankind.
It's a whole other topic, but I want to talk about that.
Yeah,
too
I love that
eventually.
thing. So
You know?
and I think at that point that's kind of the plot, so he lost and still is still the most powerful thing on the planet. Because Horus still dies in that fight. So
That's what we think.
they cloned him, it didn't work. You got to get
cloned.
you got to get deeper.
Okay.
No, he's dead.
Dead.
Like he's dead. Yeah, he's hella dead.
I'm not believing that. I guess I gotta read. But so all the Primarchs, here's my theory. The Primarchs are all pieces of the Emperor that if they all work together, they essentially are the Emperor. So like Horus is really good at like strategy and war, and someone's really good at this.
Yeah.
So I think that they're all his Horcruxes, and then once they all die, he will die.
Well, then he's fucked because a bunch of them are already dead.
Well, some of them are still alive, so he'll never die.
I'm
Some of
wondering
them
if this, like,
What do you mean, like
the
fire?
Emperor and his sons and the Tyranid, like, hive fleets become, like, a weird yin-yang thing. Where it's, like, because they have the shadow and the warp where they're not touched by that type of stuff. But if we still don't know what's
Use
out
the
there...
Tyranids to go through the warp.
Yeah, because
What if
Work together with hive fleets.
the mini armed god that they're talking about, because they never write it
Yeah.
down, they actually mean mini, M-I-N-I. And if you look at the emperor right now, he's got those
yeah.
little fucking
Little
spindly
things.
T-Rex
Yeah.
arms. So they're actually, he's the mini armed god.
Mini.
And that's
Armed
actually
god.
what
Onto
they're talking
something.
about.
He's onto something there. Google's is not.
What Russ would say.
He's like, yeah, it's not the mini armed god as in like he's got multiple. It's just like, they're just
Mini.
really small.
But what if, on that note, there is a many-armed god that is just a
because the biggies hung.
no,
Well,
it's
no.
like
You know who has
if you have
many
like
arms?
an
That is a
anti-warp,
three-armed man right there.
but
That
if
is
you've
like,
got like an anti-warp tyrannid god out there at the base of all the hive fleets, what would happen if
A
that
keeper
came
of
into
secrets has
fruition?
many arms.
that's true.
Because we don't know what lies at the base of a hive fleet. Like all of the tendrils that come together at the
That's where all the barracks
Like-
are.
Well, I heard they were
where they
going to
all
send the
hang out.
Space Wolves in for an attack on it to kill as many bugs as possible, and it was more of a spray and pray. You might call it a raid.
I shouldn't fucking give you the laugh on that one.
Is Russ going to be part of that crusade?
It is going to be the Space Wolves, and you know
Oh.
what? However he does it,
It's always right.
that's right. Russ was right, baby. All right. I would normally cheers you, but I
muscled through it.
I can't bring
That's
myself to
fine.
drink.
My muscles.
Do you want mine?
Fuck, go.
There you
ahead.
go,
You
buddy.
live like a mile away. You're fine.
There you go. Anyways,
Who do not condone?
this has been Warhammered, brought to you by BattlePub Games.
Condescending.
You can get your merch over there, BattlePub Games,
Nope.
battlepub.com. And if you go into special interests or whatever.
Nope.
Anyways.
If you go in the top
It's somewhere in there.
top to the left, it says featured. Track that little featured. Drop it down. Very bottom. Warhammer merch.
Nailed it.
Cute
So,
little mouse.
you can go get goofy merch over there. Let us know what you think about whether or not it. I want to know proper size comparison. I want to because we don't have a banana for scale, so I want to
It's
know
not the size.
what do you think each bug. What real life thing could you go like? Well, this is roughly the size of this. Like
One termagant, roughly three.
No banana for
raspberries.
scale.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Termagant is roughly the size of one NA Mazda Miata.
Yeah, yeah.
The size of a Ford Fusion.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I want. I want real life comparisons that we
Ripperstorm?
could compare bugs to.
A Grom.
It's a grum.
The Hormigons.
A Ripper Swarm is roughly the size of a wet dry vac.
Nice.
That's shot back.
Hold on. Could you imagine if you had like a Hormigant as a mount, like to ride into battle? Just thinking about the motorcycle aspect of that.
Heresy.
How fast that shit would go.
Heresy. Boo this man.
Boo.
Boo, the filthy tyrannid player.
Anyways, games, drinks, and hijinks. We highly encourage it. I'm gonna go drink with my friends. Just not this shit, because
It's not good.
I think it's quite all right.
this is why you're a bug player.
Marcellus.
Anyways, we'll see you guys next time. Hit him with a Caitlin.
Bye.
Right in the tooth.
Nope, I saved it.